Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern to talk about Trump again. We just can't seem to stay away because just when you think you can maybe talk about some other things, they hit a new level.
They do. I'm banging my fist here on the desk. I'm telling you, you deserve the Flyers plane, and that wet water, that's something else.
If you can carry that on for 10 minutes, we'll have an exact replica.
He was channeling it then.
Exactly. So obviously we're talking about the Kanye West visit to the White House, and we were just talking about this before we got on. It seems like this administration isn't going to have just one single jump the shark moment. It seems like they're going to have multiple ones. I'm not convinced anymore that this is really the worst it's going to be in terms of just sheer stupidity. But I was watching several clips on YouTube beforehand, commentators, the actual raw footage, all that sort of stuff. And apart from asking the question, have they gone insane? That's one thing. But then there's just the natural question of when is it going to crack? Like when is it going to be that moment when everyone just sort of collectively goes, that's it, we're done with this, because it just doesn't seem like they're ever going to get there. You just don't know what that short circuit moment is going to be, particularly when this Kanye West thing was done completely against the backdrop, against the devastation with the hurricane that they're experiencing. People are having real devastating problems in their lives caused by that. And I'm sure there's a whole range of other things going on in America that are bad too. And then you see that that spectacle unfold in the White House. Where do you begin?
It's becoming unreality TV is what it's becoming. Like it has, well, maybe not jumped the shark, but it's gone somewhere else. It's gone way beyond what anyone ever thought it would go to. I'll just backtrack for a second before we get on to Kanye, but you ask, what's that moment where everyone sort of, shakes their head and gives up? I was only last week, I was at a dinner party and we were talking, as Australians, we were talking about Trump and all of them and that sort of thing. And that's not really the point. But I reckon 3 months after Trump got elected, if they'd held an election the next day, Trump would have been gone. Mm. Everyone's telling me now he's running again, even though I haven't heard him say that. And everyone's telling me that he's going to win. Now,
yep.
And then you got Kanye showing up. So I don't know. You tell me where this is going, Ben, because it's just like, is he going to run again? Is he going to win? Because if he does, then that's maybe the moment you're talking about.
Or I don't know. Well, you're speechless at these times like these. I mean, how many times we've done like so many episodes on this guy and the whole situation in the States at the moment. And, each time it's like we keep asking this in some way, shape or form, the same question, but it just doesn't ever seem to have a answer. And it's hard not to look at the States right now and wonder if they've gone completely bonkers. And maybe another way of framing the question is, are they collectively nuts, or is it just a segment that seems to have the voice of power right now? And is that going to be overturned at some point?
Oh, look, I don't know. I think it's both sides, to be honest. I mean, there's anti-Trump hysteria on one side and there's just craziness on the other. There doesn't appear to be any middle ground anymore. And we've spoken about this before, not specifically about Trump, but about the way internet and social media now polarizes everything. There's no middle ground anymore. You're either for or against. And what we've seen happen in the last 2 years in the US, I believe, is a complete polarization. It doesn't, feel right even to say, well, we might not like Trump as a person, but as a president, well, he's doing something different. Time will tell whether it's good or bad. But you're not even allowed to have that. You've either got to be hysterically against him or you've got to be hysterically for him.
Yeah.
There's no jury's out. Or
the sad thing for me in this whole discussion, and we will get to Kanye, I promise we will, is just this broader question of just being rational and reasonable as adults. And it seems like the adults have left the room and the kids are running around chucking things at each other, and no one's telling them, no, you shouldn't really be doing that. And it seems very hard to watch this, because it's almost like, well, if you put a couple of adults in the room, surely someone's going to say, regardless of whatever ideology it is, because it could, Trump could be hitting, he could be representing the left as well and still be behaving the same way and whatever. But at what point do the adults return to the room and say, look, this really can't continue the way it is. For the sake, well, unless the country just, it never happens, the country spirals out of control, and I don't know, I guess China becomes the next dominant world power in the world.
If it hasn't already while these guys are talking. So to get on to Kanye, okay, as we've said 1,000 times, we've spoken about Trump. We know that we can't expect any more, for better or for worse, from Trump. His behaviour, his personality, even the way he operates. And then to have someone like Kanye come in, I mean, it was just the two of them and only about 200 media people standing around them, and have this conversation of which no one has actually defined what the purpose of it was. Mm. And the fact that Kanye said some things that were, questionable, not questionable, I guess, in terms of decency, but just questionable in terms of rational thinking.
Yeah.
And this is a moment where then you're looking at these two guys, and both of them potentially could be presidents. And you're sort of saying, well, I guess we can't expect any more from Kanye.
But the thing is, the saddest thing of all, take away, that it's President Trump and, celebrity Kanye West and the so rich, powerful, famous, whatever. You can't just get by the fact that it was just a sad sort of state of affairs, because it was quite clear that Trump was using Kanye, his, to show that he was a friend to the black people by getting one of them in. And it's, wherever that quote was, remember at one of his rallies, hey, have a look at my African-American friend over there, that kind of rubbish. And that's how it kind of played out. And the fact that Kanye, I think, genuinely didn't think that that's how he was being used in that situation. And a lot of
some of the things he said, and some of the things he said, anyway, about racism and that, it's just like, and then what you're saying there, that's right. I mean, I couldn't see Trump necessarily. It looked to me like he was having a good old laugh on the inside.
Yeah, it's like, no, but the thing is, you can imagine when he's saying, oh, you made me feel like Superman and all this sort of stuff. And you can just imagine Trump sitting there with his narcissistic point of view going, yeah, I reckon I am, I reckon I've done this, and it just kind of feeds back on itself. And the thing that was quite interesting in a lot of the commentary I've seen is that even the people that would be opposed ideologically against all of these people are actually saying, look, if Kanye wants to talk like that, that free speech and all that, he can say what he likes, he can believe whatever he likes, but he shouldn't have been put on TV and put on display like that. And if anyone actually cared about the guy, they would have stopped that from happening in the first place, just from that point of view.
But you're absolutely right on one level, but on the other level, I don't know, it's improved the Kanye brand, counterintuitively perhaps, but now he's brought the core back to the US, manufacturing and all that sort of stuff, and he agrees with the Donald. I mean, he's now more marketable in some markets, I guess, more saleable in some sales yards. Who knows? The thing is that it's all counterintuitive, and nothing's working the way that it used to.
But that kind of suggests that there's the progress, or progress in quotation marks, depending on how you define it, can only be done via a race to the bottom. That
That's right. Yeah.
but the reality is that nobody wins that one.
Well, and if we would comment on America's standing globally, I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a race to the bottom, and there's no stopping it now. And I couldn't see, even if they held an election tomorrow, I just don't know what sort of Democrat candidate will get any sort of air anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be boring. They'd be so boring compared to these other things that we're seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where it's going, Ben.
And that comes back to the original question, which is where's the circuit breaker? The fact that Kanye drops the F-bomb in the White House, and that's him. But at no point was it ever suggested by anyone, including Trump himself, no, not cut that out. Because the reality is that the office is supposed to have a certain respectability, and that whole thing just completely torpedoed the whole lot. So there's no basically, if there was any shred of credibility to it anymore, it's like it's gone out the window. And again, to return to like what we were saying at the beginning, this still isn't the bottom in terms of what we're looking at. There's going to be something even more outrageous next week when it happens.
Well, now that this has happened, it allows a whole lot of other things to happen. You're absolutely right. It's just completely crazy.
Sorry. Yep.
And all I was going to say is to go backwards to the whole Kavanaugh situation, I don't really want to go into, but the circus around that became is just completely questionable as well.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the danger, if we make a mockery of our political system, then you don't really have very much left, do you?
No, and I guess just to get to a final point with this is that on the Democratic side, this is the sheer stupidity of it, that there's whole waves of people in the Democratic Party who think that the only way out of this is to get someone like a celebrity, whether it's Oprah, Tom Hanks, or Michael Avenatti, because he's sticking it to Trump at the moment, and that's the only baseline that they can find an opponent for. That surely there's got to be, and even the other day there was a thing that Eric Holder was captured on video saying, he quoted Beyonce, or not Beyonce, Michelle Obama, by saying, see, they all have the same sort of message, which is, if they go low, we go high. And Eric Holder was quoted as saying, no, if they go low, we kick them. And he got roundly criticised for it because he's putting himself up. He's potentially putting his hand up for the Democratic nomination kind of thing the next time round, and it's like, well, maybe they do need someone that acts more at that level to be able to beat Trump, but it's got to be someone who miraculously can do that, but while still portraying what is meant to be, I guess, representative of that office, I guess, which I think that's almost too impossible a task for anyone unless they're a unicorn and they magically appear.
I completely agree with you, because on that very point that you've just raised is that what's happening is all the opposition's fracturing, and it's because of social media. It's because of the constant soundbite commentary that we have. So if you say something that people don't agree with in your own party, you're held to it, and it polarises people straight away. Yes, it is. It's only the high ground, or no, we kick him. They're the only two options. So there's no one who can kick him sometimes and take the high ground anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's what the whole continuous commentary is leading to, just that breakdown where a person can't actually be a person. They're judged by anything they might say or anything they might have done, and it's then held up and to them. And that's why it takes someone like Trump who just ignores this, and he can power on.
Yeah. I'm actually just as one final thought. I don't know why I thought of this just then, but I was thinking back to the Paul Keating days. For those outside of Australia, he was one of our former prime ministers and quite famous, and was quite famous for sledging his opponents. But he obviously had a lot of substance behind a lot of what he was doing at the same time. So, do they need a character like that? Should they draft him up to go over there?
I think now, if you had a guy like Paul Keating with social media as it is, I don't think that he just looked like a bully, because these clips would play just ad infinitum.
But how is that any different to what's happening right now?
Well, that's right, but I think the difference is, as the Americans termed it, it's asymmetric, I don't know, warfare, really. You've got someone whose character can be questioned and who makes no apologies for that, so therefore no mud can stick, because it's all visible. You realise, actually, when it comes to the whole privacy debate, that effectively, if everything's on the table, then you're okay, really. You just have to accept that everyone knows your secrets. And I mean, I'm sure there's more about Trump we don't know, but still, by the same token,
well, people have accepted it, haven't they? They said, he is like that. What are you going to do?
Whereas now, if you're a Democratic candidate, all someone has to do from the opposition, or even within your own party, if they want to hobble you, is reveal something you don't want people to know.
Yeah.
Then that's it. So it's, as we say, politics, maybe even only a decade ago, was supposedly about fine, upstanding people challenging each other with their ideas. And now it's, you're right, it's just been a race to the bottom. And we've still got some way to go.
Absolutely. Oh, well, we'll wrap it up there, Steve. Might see some more Kanye in the future, because Kim was in there earlier in the year getting someone freed or something. So I'm sure he'll want to show up and do his thing again. And I guess we'll wait with bated breath as to what the next episode of the Trump Presidency will give us.
Well, yeah, I'm sure something will go down in the next month or two. Something just before Christmas, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right, so don't forget to check out our website, scitechculture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to all of our channels, YouTube, Vimeo, our RSS feeds. You can listen to us on your devices or watch us on your TV at home, wherever you happen to catch us. And hope you appreciate all the content there. And we're always grateful for a visit. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.